Ever wondered why that little red bottle on your table sometimes whispers secrets from the past? Why, in the not-so-distant past, what you now call ketchup was once boldly labeled Catsup? Was it a typo? A conspiracy? Or did cats secretly run the condiment world before humans caught on? I'm Professor Everything, and today we'll be answering the question, why was ketchup once called Catsup? Right here on Explaining Everything. Believe it or not, ketchup didn't start with tomatoes, or even with cats. The original ancestor of ketchup was a salty, fermented fish or shellfish sauce from Southeast Asia, known in Hokkien Chinese as Ketchup or Ketchup, meaning more or less brine of pickled fish or shellfish. Over time, this sauce, beloved for its deep umami, traveled with traders. It made its way through the Malay world as ketchup or ketchup, and eventually landed on European shores, where English speakers tried to replicate it with whatever they had. Mushrooms, walnuts, anchovies, oysters, you name it. No tomatoes in sight yet. So the ketchup, you know? It began as a fishy, funky, fermented horror show that somehow evolved into the sweet red stuff we squirt today. Here's where things get messy, like ketchup splattered over a brand new white shirt. When the sauce first appeared in English texts in the late 1600s and early 1700s, it was spelled a variety of ways. Catchup, ketchup, ketchup. By 1730, we see the spelling catsup used in a poem by Jonathan Swift. Why catsup? One popular interpretation says English speakers were trying to anglicize the foreign name, approximating the sound in a way that looked English, maybe influenced by familiar bits like cat and sup. So for a while, catsup was just the Englishified variant of a foreign word. No drama, just dialects and spelling experiments. Meanwhile, the sauce itself was slowly transforming. In the 1700s and early 1800s, British and American cooks reinvented ketchup. Recipes called for mushrooms, walnuts, oysters, anchovies, and spices. Still no tomatoes. But then, around the early 19th century, someone cracked the code. Tomatoes plus vinegar plus sugar equals magic red sauce. The first American tomato-based ketchup recipe appeared around 1812. Once tomatoes entered the scene, ketchup slowly morphed into the condiment we recognize today. Sweet, tangy, and dripping on burgers everywhere. Here's the final twist in our tale. Loyalty wasn't to the fish sauce origins, or to mushrooms, but to brands. One of the biggest players in this war was Heinz. When they first sold their bottled tomato sauce in 1876, they called it Catsup. But as the late 1800s wore on, they, and many other producers, began shifting the spelling to ketchup. Why? To stand out on the shelf, to standardize, maybe even because ketchup looked more exotic and closer to the sauce's far-flung origins. Slowly, ketchup took over as the default spelling in most places, though catsup hung on in pockets of the US and in older recipes. So today, if you find a dusty bottle labeled Catsup, congratulations! You bought history. Imagine walking into a grocery store in the early 1900s. You're just trying to buy a simple bottle of tomato sauce for your fries. Nothing dramatic. But instead, you're greeted by shelves of bottles arguing with each other. One proudly says, "Catsup," another flexes with Ketchup, and a rogue brand in the corner whispers, "Catchup," like it's trying to start trouble. Shoppers were genuinely confused. Families would stand there debating which one was the real one, like they were choosing a political candidate. Some even picked their spelling based on which bottle looked more trustworthy, because nothing says confidence like a tomato sauce staring back at you with a label that can't make up its mind. It was less of a condiment aisle and more of an identity crisis with glass bottles. Catsup wasn't a mistake, a conspiracy, or the result of cats taking over the condiment world. It was simply history having fun, with fishy beginnings, creative English spellings, and a dash of marketing magic, all coming together in one red, squeezable bottle. In the end, the battle between Catsup and Ketchup was never about taste. It was about language, branding, and human stubbornness. Whether you call it Catsup or Ketchup, the sauce carries a rich, quirky history that's just as tangy as its flavor. So the next time you squeeze that thick red goodness on your fries and call it ketchup, give a mental nod to some fishy-smelling sailors from centuries ago, to British cooks making do with mushrooms and walnuts, and to clever advertising that made the whole world agree on one spelling. And if you ever come across a bottle of Catsup, well, don't sniff it suspiciously. Respect your roots. That's it for today's linguistic condiment adventure. Now go forth, dip, drizzle, and devour, but always pronounced correctly. Ketchup or Catsup, your call. If you enjoyed this linguistically messy, historically saucy Catsup story, hit that like button and subscribe for more hilarious explanations about the everyday world. And if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.